Hey, what is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we are going over IDEX, ticker symbol IDEX. Now, this is a company that I have followed for a good few weeks now, but I felt like now was a great time to bring them to my channel, as it seems like a lot of you are interested in them, and you have asked me time and time again to bring them to the channel. Now, if you do want access to this information, as soon as I do get it, if you want access to things such as my weekly watch list, new video updates, updates on notes, early access links, daily newsletters, video schedules, notes, everything like that, including trades, my trade portfolio, literally everything I do as a trader, everything I do as a YouTuber is all presented in my Patreon. So definitely go down to the link in the description. It'll bring you there, and that's where I'm fully transparent with all of that info. Also, if you are looking to expand out into a new brokerage or start your own investment and trading journey, I 100% recommend using the referral link down below. Whenever you open an account with Webull and deposit $100, you will get 2 free stocks that can be valued all the way up to $1,850. It's a fantastic opportunity, a fantastic brokerage, and who doesn't like some free money and some free stocks? But that being said, let's go ahead, let's jump straight into it, and let's see what is going on with IDEX, ticker symbol IDEX. So IDEX is a global company that facilitates the adoption of commercial electric vehicles and supports next generation financial services and fintech products. So this is a company that has 2 main aspects. They're going to focus on EVs, electric vehicle sales, charging, financing, everything like that. And then they're also a fintech company that has an entire other division. This is a very big company, and so we're going to jump into it. We're going to see what all they have going on, as there's so much and I don't want to keep you here for 30 minutes. So here are their 2 different divisions. They're going to have IDEX Mobility and IDEX Capital. So IDEX Mobility is focused on the global EV market opportunity, which is expected to grow to $132 billion at a compounded annual growth rate of roughly 40% through 2022. IDEX Capital is focused on fintech and its disruptive impact across financial services, from financial markets through to mortgages, where U.S. home sales are forecasted to grow 21.9% in 2021 alone. So as you can tell here, they do focus on 2 very disruptive markets, and they have 2 different divisions that can fully capitalize and take advantage of these markets. Now, whenever it does come to IDEX Mobilities, they have 5 different divisions that typically in which they operate, that they have a lot of subsidiaries under. So first one is going to be Mobile Energy Global. Now, Mobile Energy Global is going to be one of their subsidiaries that focuses more on like the services, the financing, everything like that. Medici Motor Works is going to be one that focuses on some electric bikes. We have Wave, which is going to be a charging method in which that they are operating under right now. This is going to allow things like buses or other public transit vehicles to drive over the plate. Once it drives over a plate, there's inductive charging that goes through. Basically, the bus driver can just sit and relax, and that thing will charge as he's picking up different passengers or anything like that. We are going to go into depth about that one in another video, as I do believe that that is probably has some of the most potential out of all of these. Tree Electric is another one that recently just got some great orders for one of their electric moped style of bikes. And then we have Solictrack, which is going to be one that focuses more on like farming equipment, tractors, etc. So there's just so much going on with this company. They have so many different divisions. I don't know how all of their personnel don't get so confused, but at the end of the day, I will give it to them. They are very, very highly diversified. So whenever it does come to these different divisions, why are they focusing so heavily on EV? Let's just take a look at some of the numbers and analyze the statistics to get an idea of the opportunity, as we can see here. 2021 is the year commercial EVs became mainstream. Bloomberg NEF estimates that global commercial EV sales will reach 1.2 million units by 2023. The global EV charging infrastructure market is expected to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 33% in the next 7 years, all the way up to about $145 billion. And then we also have to consider the increased public support. The Biden administration is supportive of EV with a goal to achieve 100% clean energy economies, and this is going to be taking place in many different states. States such as California have accelerated timelines to phase out your typical vehicles, and I think that's important too, especially whenever we consider like city tourism and buses, as we do see down there, as they are trying to work the Biden administration. As they are trying to work a lot of electric vehicles into public transport, I think having charging stations, having abilities to conduct, a charge while the bus is on the go is definitely the future. And I think this company is at the forefront of that race, and I'm very excited to see the capabilities and the fact that they are already starting to establish themselves as one of the major players in the United States. So going next up, we can see what they are trying to do and how they break this overall market down into 3 different aspects. They have from sales to financing to charging. Whenever it comes to vehicle and battery sales, they have their own brands, of course, like Motorworks, Trilectric, and SolarTrak, which cover 3 key market segments. Other manufacturers, vehicles, and batteries, well, we will earn spread-based revenues for wholesale purchasing. So that's going to be another, my guess is a smaller portion of their revenue, but just as important, of course. Next up, we have financing, leasing, and insurance services. Offering financial services to their fleet of customers delivers commissions and origination fees-based revenues. So I think that's a fantastic, it's just a brilliant idea. You know, like, here, I'm going to sell you these cars and then, or these vehicles, and then we're going to finance them out to you. Like, we're going to do all of our own financing, our own leasing, and our own insurance services in order for us to be able to capitalize and maximize our revenue. I know it's something that other companies have done in the past. It's not brand new, but the fact that they have introduced it to their business model, I absolutely love. Next up, we have charging and energy services. Sales of our Wave wireless charging products. They have sales of other charging apparatus. They have revenue share from partner charging networks, and then they focus on charging as a service and battery swap programs. That is where the majority of their revenue is coming from at the moment, as I will highlight that in a little while here. And again, I do believe that that is where they are going to have the majority of their potential. I think being able to charge up some things, being able to charge up their buses, which is going to be a big one, like I said in the past, and all of that, the capability to provide this more as a service is definitely something that is going to be prominent in the future, and I think they're doing a great job of capitalizing on that. So we're not going to go too far into each one of these, because as I already highlighted what each one is a bit, and I don't want to keep you here too long, but you can kind of just see what all they focus on. These are some of the bikes that Trilectric offers. This is going to be the tractor that SolarTrak offers. Whenever it comes to Wave, of course, they do have the panels in which will charge them. So next up, we are going to take a look at Ideonomics Capital, which is going to highlight their 5 different partners or subsidiaries in which are operating with them. So they have Timios, DBOT, Liquefied, Technology Metals Market, or TM2, and Intelligenta. So whenever it comes to this division, how are they setting it up? Well, they have it set up in 2 different categories. They have real estate transaction services, and then they have digital securities and assets. So whenever it comes to the real estate transaction services, this is one that they're not too focused on. I mean, they kind of are, but none of these that we're going to see within Ideonomics Capital are, in my opinion, as exciting as the electric vehicle potential, but I think, again, they're just as important to note. So it says here that U.S. real estate industry is antiquated, opaque, fragmented, and largely untouched by technological innovation. 14 million to 23 million Americans are planning to relocate to a new U.S. city or region due in part to growing acceptance of remote work, and Zillow predicts that the digital-first experience will become the new standard for real estate in 2021 and beyond, and so with all of that information, they are trying to capitalize on it. Now, that's one thing I do love about this company. As we can see, they're starting to take notice of what different industries or what aspects of society people are the most excited about, or what's changing the most in society, figuring out how they can offer a solution to that change, and then capitalizing on it and gaining revenue from it. Now, as we do see here, they also focus on digital securities and assets. This is one that is like going away a bit. We will take a note of it whenever we go over their financials, but they're not too focused on this one as much. Now, this is favorable regulatory developments through the SEC and OCC. There are more mainstream institutions that have increased their digital security services, and recent Bitcoin rallies have driven by more institutional involvement, resurgence of cryptocurrencies, and hedge funds. So again, it's just kind of nice to note, but that's not something that they focus too heavily on. So I'm on investorplace.com, and the way in which they break down their revenue and their earnings and kind of what changes have been made is absolutely perfect, so I figured it would just be the easiest to present it from here. Well, it says here that the Ideonomics earnings report highlights the company's switch to being an EV charging play. That includes its revenue for the year coming in at $26.8 million. Now, in comparison, this is lower than the $44.6 million reported in 2019. However, IDEX notes that $40.7 million of that revenue came from digital asset management services, which is a contract that produced 0 revenue in 2020 and is also expected to not generate any revenue in the foreseeable future. So basically what that means is they had digital asset management services is something that they focused on more in 2019, and since then they have made that switch to the electric vehicle charging scene, or just the electric vehicle scene in general. Now, since then, that digital asset management service has produced no revenue. It is completely off the grid at this point. So that $26.8 million in which they generated was basically completely from electric vehicles, electric vehicle charging, etc. So that is a good move, I would say, in my opinion. I think that the future is definitely a lot brighter within the electric vehicle charging scene, and with that comes a lot of potential. Now, the fact that they have already gotten to generate up to $26.8 million in their first real year on the scene definitely says that they have a lot of momentum, but they also have a lot of knowledge and experience in their staff, and I think it is going to continue to be displayed as they're now increasing the amount of acquisitions they have. Their subsidiaries are really getting up and running. We actually did get the announcement recently that their buses and their mopeds are all going to be, they were cleared and approved for sale. So I think going forward, we're going to see their revenue and their profits continue to increase, which will be beautiful for the company, and it'll definitely make their stock a lot more attractive than it already is. Now, whenever it comes to specifics, the company notes that the majority of its revenue, 19.5 million of that 26.8 million, came from its EV charging business. Now, for comparison, EV revenue in 2019 was 2.7 million. That shows a year-over-year increase of more than 600% for IDEX in EV revenue. So again, as we can see here, they're making some very, very big climbs from 2019 to 2020 within their EV charging. So again, even though their financials might look like there was a decrease from year over year, I think long term it is going to be very, very beneficial for the company. So with that being said, we've kind of got an idea of what the company's mission is. We now know what their products and some of their different subsidiaries are. As I said, we will go a lot more in depth into their subsidiaries in a future video. Again, I'd just like to make this initial analysis video not too long, just want to give you an idea of everything going on with this company. But now that we understand all of that, we understand, what their financials are and what the future outlook of their financials will be as they do increase revenue through their electric vehicle charging. What are their stock charts looking like? Well, what I'm seeing already at the moment is something that looks, in my opinion, pretty bullish. Now, we are already starting to see a bit of a trend line being set here. There was some very, very strong resistance around that $2.60 mark, and we've been seeing them follow this pattern for quite some time. Now, one thing that I am taking a note of is they are also setting a pretty clear line here, and I think going forward that it looks as if they may continue to follow it. Now, at the same time, you can never really know. I mean, I don't want to go ahead and just say that this thing is going to shoot all the way to $6.30 immediately, but from what it looks like, with all of the great news that this company has been having recently, it does seem as if they are really starting to catch some momentum. Now, I think it's going to be a volatile ride. It's going to be a bumpy ride, of course, but it is exciting to start to see them set some upward momentum, and I think going forward, we can expect to see some bullish movements. Now, if we do go out into the weeklies, we can see that they have been slowing down a good bit. I mean, as they did bounce off this resistance here, they did slow down a lot towards this resistance, so it is showing that this is still a very prominent resistance level, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised to start to see this work its way back up over time. Of course, it may not be a very, steep climb like this, but at the same time, we might start to see them follow some type of pattern like this, of course. So with that being said, at the end of the day, you never really know. Of course, this is a stock, and stocks are very unpredictable, but my guess is they are going to follow that trend. Now, the biggest question that I do have is how they are going to react to the resistance in which they have been seeing around this line here. Now, I know it's not beautifully straight, but it has been around roughly the same areas that we have seen them struggle to get past. So the biggest question is, as they do continue to increase and as we do start to see them continue to follow these patterns, that once they meet these certain levels of resistance, what is going to happen? If this thing would draw my line, draw my dang on line. There we go. Okay. So as we do follow some of these different patterns, the biggest question that I have is what is going to happen once we start to meet that initial resistance that we saw in the last few years. I mean, they have set resistance at this for the last about 4 years now. So I'm not 100% sure. I think that the company really has a lot more momentum, of course, than they had in 2018 and 2019. I think the fact that they are focused more on electric vehicle charging at the moment provides them with the capability to see a lot more future growth and a lot higher consumer bases. And so with that being said, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised to see this push past that resistance. But I do expect that once we see that resistance, that if it starts to reverse off of it, then we're definitely going to need to reconsider it. But my guess is that it's going to consolidate for a while and eventually end up pushing through it. That's my guess. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not a financial advice at all, but I personally will be starting a position into this company. I think this is the perfect time. Now, of course, if this does break through this line, this is not a beautiful line, perfect line here, but just this general area. If it does push through this and start to work its way back down, I may reconsider a little bit and wait this one out. But at the moment, it looks like this is going to be a great time to make an entrance for me personally. And so with that being said, I will be starting a position into them as I do think that this company has loads of potential. But with that being said, that is about it for today's video. video. I hope you guys did enjoy. I know it was a little bit of a longer one, but as you did see, they had so much stuff going on with their business that I wanted to make sure that I gave you a great update and summary of what exactly this company does. With that being said, if you guys do want to know what trade I'm going to be making on them, when I'm going to be starting the position, what my entry price will be, all of that information will be available in my Patreon as per usual, and I can't wait to see you all next time. Peace.